I love balls.
For Lord Cars.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Man of the people.
You know it's Cars Keys. Let's get it started up. Give me the car keys. Lakeshore Drive. Blog boys drive away with our takes like car thieves. Break down, we study tape and thrive.
Analytical preparation, that's what Cars is given. Cars don't discriminate, teaching the men and women. Each and every week, there's nerds to get your focus. Never manipulating stats, lore, cars and hocus pocus. Cars Keys, they're never lost. Checking source, never gonna find a better scouting report. Cars going live with the smartest man, my bestie. Deciphering holes on the defense like Getsy. New show, uniforms, orange with the dark sea. Tape never lies, patrons, this is Cars
You know
Keys.
it's Cars Keys. Let's get it started up. Give me the car keys. Lakeshore Drive. Blog boys drive away with our takes like car thieves. Break down, we study tape and thrive. We gotta break down tape like detectives. No hot takes, just real football perspectives. The Bears nerd dropping science on his terms. TTNL giving Bears press like a perm. Other networks is off with the heads. Stats plus film equals football cred. Analysis like data Ted tries to shred. McCaskey's letting me cake, we keep the 100 crew fed. Cars Keys, let's get it started up. Give me the car keys. Lakeshore Drive. Blog boys drive away with our takes like car thieves. Break down, we study tape and thrive. Lord Hines in his car, fill up a goblin. Lord Hines in his car, fill up a goblin.
We're back. It's Cars Keys, Season 4, Episode 59. Man, they're starting to stack up like these W's in Chicago. Bears versus Ravens coming up. 4 straight dubs. We're going to get into it. Our guy's been away for a couple of weeks on work assignment or whatever you want to call it. I think he was actually partying. We're not going to tell anybody, though. Let me go grab him. Let's get into some talk here. Go grab my guy.
Oh, shit.
Lord Cars.
Sorry. You said partying? What? No. Who would ever do that?
There you go. I won't post your speech thread and who you're up on the podium with. I promise.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Cars, 4 straight W's. You've been away for a couple of weeks, but the W's are adding up. I don't know, man. It feels good to be a Bears fan. Nothing is perfect yet, but we are. I think you're on the ground floor building the foundation the way that it needs to be. Things are going up, and I think that the Bears are actually doing things the right way. What do you think?
I'm sorry. My brain froze when you said that they might be doing things the right way because
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like something you do. But yeah, I think this year has well done, Alex. Well done. That's why this year feels so weird.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have we gone in and couldn't run the ball, and then a few weeks later, or one of the top rushing attacks in the league, or we couldn't stop the run? Like, we've seen the opposite.
Yep.
Right? Matt Eberflus says last year we were this great run defense, and then the wheels fell off, and we were bottom 2, I think, in run defense at that point.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the opposite. But I think it was just, again, when Brendan Sugru showed the video of like comparing post wins and what that looked like, and then you throw that on with the video that the Bears put on a mic'd up Ben Johnson, which is psychopath as you would expect. Even the way he threw the challenge flag.
Oh yeah,
right?
I love it.
Just as crazy.
Did you see the other one with the pen?
Yeah.
I mean, it just, I love it.
He's not. So yeah, it's so weird. And I think, Shane, you were kind of like me, like after that Raiders game.
Yeah.
you're kind of like, okay, we don't normally win that type of game, so let's just eh, well, that can't happen again because we'll lose. And then to turn around and win it almost the exact opposite way
Yeah.
the next week. Yeah, it's just it it's weird to be this positive. I think I sent this to you and Ryan in the text chain, like someone on Facebook had posted. That's it. Fire everybody. I'm sorry. I'm just so used to week 7
Right.
by now, like
Yeah.
hating everything. It does feel really weird.
Yeah. I mean, BHL hasn't had a negative rant in, a long time. It does. It's uncharted territory.
It's kinda like I feel like we should have little birds holding rainbows behind us right now is everything that does this, but it's just been wild, and look, there's gonna be a game that's gonna come in, and we're gonna get a little punch back to reality. It's the NFL.
Yeah.
It
Happens.
happens everywhere, but man, it's nice to feel like you're building towards something, and I think that's the one thing that all Bears fans can actually agree upon is that we're
Yeah.
building up to something instead of this being like Dick Duran's weird 13-3 year and you knew none of this was sustainable. This
Right.
feels that way.
Yeah, it does. And listen, we've all been very critical of the steps and how they've gotten there. And we still have our disagreements with draft picks, free agent signings, and all of that. And now that you're past it, you can't change the picks. You can't go back and nix a deal or nix a trade
Yeah.
or anything like that. It is what it is. There's always going to be picks that you don't agree with. There's going to be signings that you don't agree with, trades that you don't agree with, all of that. But the end of the day, Cars, like I said, my focus is on QB1, Caleb Williams, and head coach Ben Johnson. And we have not had that. Two guys in that position where you're excited about both are very young, both are, convicted and extremely talented. And they're
And no no smoke
Chicago
screen.
Bears. Yeah, and they're Chicago Bears. That's that's the part, when you see people, you know, in the NFL that are ranking their top play callers in the league and you see that Bears logo there, you're like, What?"
Is
It's
that the
hard.
special teams coordinator? That makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah,
right.
we usually do really well there.
It's hard to digest, and I think, maybe it's slowly turning, and again, like you said, there's gonna be bumps, the Bears are gonna blow a game, Caleb's gonna have a bad game, but, everybody wanted to turn on Caleb after this last game and say that he took a clear step back. Was it a great game? No. Was there progress? 100%. And after you sit down with a clear head, watch the tape, and see the steps and see the improvements, can there be more improvements? Yes, like we said, but there's progress being made every single week. And that's a testament to Ben Johnson, and it's a testament to Caleb Williams, because we've both heard the stories about, listen, young quarterbacks, this being a difficult offense to digest. Maybe a few weeks ago he didn't have it all, but now things are starting to digest, and
Yeah.
you're starting to see the baby steps of improvement.
Well, I think it starts. Do you remember who was the crazy quarterback coach in Philadelphia that we interviewed
Oh,
for the head coach gig? Y the name doesn't matter, but
yeah,
I remember
DiFilippo.
DiFilippo, yeah, John DiFilippo, there we go. Do you remember and I remember having this conversation with you, me, and Phil when he was a candidate, and we were talking about him being on TV
Yep.
and breaking down plays and doing so honestly,
Yeah.
and, we've never really had that. We've always had this smoke and mirrors thing, and you look at the way Ben has communicated this whole way, which is translated all the way down to the way that Caleb talks. And I think one of the things you and I were talking before the show, like Caleb is clearly bought in because of the way
Yep.
that he's carrying himself and the way that he's communicating. But you watch today with Declan Doyle and the way that he's talking about things. They are brutally honest. They aren't holding back. It used to be in the past that we'd have Matt or either
Yeah.
one of the Matts sit down and say like, I'm not really sure about that, and never address it again.
Yep.
How many times have we seen Ben go, I don't think so. Let me look at the tape and I'll talk to you the next time about it. And then
that's
open
yeah.
his press conference
Yeah.
the next time with that detail. I think what's really different for me across all of this is just you can see the growth. You can see the change. I think what gives me the most confidence moving forward is that what Ben Johnson said is that I'm not doing anything to make this simpler on Caleb.
Right.
At this point in our lives, what would we normally hear? Well, we're going to do what the Commanders did last year. We're going to move the pocket out, take out half the field, so he only has to make a half field read. This is not me crapping on Jaden. This is just what they did. Or we're going to run a lot of RPOs to try to help him go through these progressions and reads. What they are doing is they're sitting down and saying, no, here's everything.
Yeah.
Figure it out. You're going to be better off for this long term if you do so. But it's truly wild to watch this because I think we all agree that there are some bad penalty calls out there.
Oh yeah.
Rome is making some drops that he normally wouldn't. Cole Kmet has had some drops that he normally wouldn't. And these things, and we're still scoring. I mean, we're what, 7th in the league in scoring right now? Or no, I'm sorry, 12th in the league in scoring.
12th, yeah.
Right now.
Yep. But even then, Cars, and I said, it goes beyond. You look at the sack rate where we were last year at this time. What is he at? 11?
11.
Yeah. On the season right now. And that was a number one priority. Which I don't think any of us here are fans of Colin Cowherd, but he brought it up today. Somebody posted a clip and he's like, that was my number one thing with Caleb was, I didn't see how he was going to be able to cut down on the sack rate. Well, listen, that you
If you
just saying
didn't-
that, yeah, if he didn't, then you have a big issue to worry about. But that's coaching. That's the improvement on the offensive line. I mean, look at our season at 4-2. You have a Hall of Fame left guard that nobody fucking talks about ever.
Isn't that wild?
You almost forget he's so good. We almost forget that he's on the team. Seriously.
I mean, well, you forget because he doesn't get a penalty, he doesn't give up a sack, he doesn't do anything.
Right.
And you see
one pressure.
Yeah. And you've seen Dahlman has gotten better each week. Jonah Jackson finally looks in shape. And it's not super weird that you move Benedetto in at left tackle and then all of a sudden you can run the ball. Like,
Yep.
That's wild. And so I think who knows where his ceiling is going to be. I still have belief in Caleb is going to continue to grow. I still think he's going to be, long-term franchise quarterback. I think there's been a lot of just weird kind of statements. Like I talk about CJ Stroud all the time, but look at what he's done this year and how lost they look. And that in Houston, they're talking about, hey, is he going to be a long-term answer? And then you take the reverse of this and you look at like what happened to Baker Mayfield. I'm not going to so much go with Sam Darnold because Sam was quite literally terrible for most of that. It's a one-off. But Baker had shown what he could do.
How do you feel though if you're Carolina 2022, you had both of them on the roster together at quarterback?
And did you hear Baker when they were about to play each other? Do you want to talk about that? And he's like, no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, but how do you feel if you're Minnesota right now?
Yeah.
And you had a locker room last year that was Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, who I don't think this is going to continue on, but that's fine, and JJ McCarthy. And sight unseen, you made the decision to go with McCarthy, and you have therefore vaulted the Seattle Seahawks.
Yep.
into one of the top teams in the NFC because of the quarterback play.
Yeah, and I'm not going to bag on Minnesota for going quarterback, when they did, and I'm just going to keep it 100 myself. I was not a believer that it was going to
Ever work?
go again with Sam Darnold out in Seattle. I mean, I don't blame him for taking the money and going, but listen, sometimes it just clicks, and it clicks at different points with all of these different quarterbacks. But yet our guy here, Cars, for whatever reason, it's just, people are always just picking away at the scab with this kid. And I said, at this point, with him having the 9, what is it? He's at 9 career interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I always laugh. I said, look at the game that he just came off of against the New Orleans Saints, where everybody was so critical, and even Courtney Cronin and all of these people that are just he can't read a defense, he's not processing fast enough, and all of this complete and utter nonsense. And then the talk of he needs to take more chances. Turning the ball over isn't a bad thing. They can't handle Caleb having a pedestrian game and the Bears winning. What would they do if he threw 2 interceptions in a game and the Bears lost? Cars, they would lose their minds.
This is what happened in Cleveland with Baker, and why Baker Mayfield ended up leaving.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is, and it was very similar. Cleveland has been absolutely terrible for quarterbacks. They haven't done anything well. And so, once it's kind of like all of us, once it starts to go bad, we just go, or they have a bad game. We're like, see, here it happens again. Here it is. We're done. It's going downhill. And it's not the case. So I do, it is fascinating to me to be like, because I'm with you. It's so frustrating. And I think half of it comes from a good place where we've just been so burned for so long. Many fans are just waiting for the other shoe to drop and just kind of be like, yep, here we go again.
Yeah.
I've seen this story. What do you want? But I think it's just different this time because I think you nailed it. We've got a coach that is respected and liked, who is considered a great play caller. I think he's built a hell of an offensive staff from look at DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
I understand he's not perfect, but he has looked significantly better the last 2
100%.
weeks with coaching.
Right.
And all these
100%.
players, it's crazy the growth that we're seeing out of these players. We finally have an actual staff that coaches people up. And it's really weird to be there.
So, Cars, before we get into your slides, I know I'll put this up there because he reached out to me on X, and I told him to throw it in the chat and we would talk about it. We've talked about it at different points, and I know we're super early into this, but Sandeep says, could you hypothetically estimate Caleb's new contract amount in 2 years and reverse engineer how the team would fund the agreed upon amount? I love to hear your thinking on it. And you and I have had these conversations, and listen, so much goes in it. You go out and win a Super Bowl, within the next couple of years, then you're talking significantly more. So there's so many factors in all of this. But Cars, I mean, you're talking $75-80 million a year at that point.
So I think, let me just see. I think it is, I have to find a website, but I think it's next year.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson hits a $73 million
yes,
salary.
So you're above that. So now you're talking.
But so in year 5, right, he would have to do a franchise cost, and every team will do this unless, and basically year 5 will basically be somewhere around 55 to 60 million. What you have to look is the next 2 years for Lamar are $74.5 million.
And so James brings this up, and Ryan Cox and I had a conversation a long time ago, and I know you and I have talked about this too. I honestly feel like, that's coming at some point.
I don't think we'll ever see a 10-year, but a 5-year, $500 million contract.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it's gonna be bonkers. And listen, if to Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham's credit, if you look at all of these people that the Bears have signed, good player, bad player, right, wrong, or indifferent, everything is structured around when it's time to pay QB1 in Chicago. There's almost nothing pushed beyond that point of when it's going to be time for, because listen, as a rookie, you come in, you're signing a 4-year deal
with a
fifth-year option, right?
With a 5th-year team option,
right? 5th-year team option, and then technically you can franchise 3 more years after that. But with QBs, you don't want to go down that road. But any way you swing it, it's going to be a franchise altering deal, and it's the market for quarterbacks. And like cars, listen, we don't know. I think the way that everything is structured, I think there's going to be bumps in the road this year. There's going to be ups, but you see the progress each and every week. This could take off like a fucking rocket ship in 2026 in terms of Caleb's ascension within the league with Ben Johnson, a second year in this system, all of that. Let's just say you go out and win a Super Bowl in 2026 or 2027 in Chicago, and you're Caleb Williams, you have the fucking juice. You hold everything.
Oh,
everything.
Without a doubt. And Dustin, you and I have talked about it. This is the way that it's going in the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Because even if you look at Josh Allen's deal, he's pretty much hovering around 50 to 60 million until his last year, where it is, I want to say it's 86 million is going to be what he's due the last year of his deal. So 2029.
Yep.
And so what's going to happen is I think it's year 1 of his contract extension. It's starting the one of Brock Purdy here, but he has a slow ascension because of his dollar amount. You've got the last 2 years of Deshaun Watson, who's at 70 million because of how much they've punted down the line.
Yeah.
You're eventually here going to have a Mahomes redo, right? Because his contract basically
guarantees him what, top 3?
Well, so the next 2 years, he's at 78 and 74 million. And then
doesn't he have a kicker in there though, that he has to be within like the top 3?
That he can be. But like this year, his cap is only 28 million. So he has not taken that at all.
Yep.
And then the subsequent years after that, which means that there's a lot of dead money. And by the way, in 2032, and 33, he's got 2 $60 million void years. So that's how they've gotten around from that. You're sitting at a point where you're going to see that it's easily pushing 100. And so what Dustin said is accurate. Micah Parsons hit 40.
Yeah.
And that would put him something like 15th, I think, or some crazy number in the quarterback list.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have all this. So if you're looking at him at 40 and saying Josh Allen at 80, you're talking double the amount for the highest paid pass rusher for the next level quarterback.
Yeah. And something that seems very, very simple, but I don't think a lot of people understand. So if Caleb goes into year 4 and you give him a massive extension, that extension, those massive numbers aren't kicking in for a couple of years. They're gonna be pushed out beyond the rookie scale contract that he originally signed. That was a 4-year deal. It would wipe out the 5th-year option, but you know what I mean? So you buy
The team
yourself.
does it because it
Yeah.
lowers the 5th year, and the
Yep.
player does it because then you get more
The
guaranteed into
guaranteed
that
money
salary.
beyond that. So if
Yeah.
he signed it in year 4, his year 4 number would still be what it was originally on his rookie scale contract, and then the extension would kick in after that. But
I think when
he
the Bears negotiate this, Shane, they're
yeah,
already gonna know because all these owners are sitting down and talking. They're already having these discussions around
100%.
quarterback play.
Yeah.
So they're gonna know. I'm gonna be completely honest. I think it's gonna get to the point where 50% of a salary of a quarterback is
Yeah.
not gonna count against the cap. But I would think in year one, you'll see him step into it. So it may be 10, 15%, and year two might be 15, 20, right? They'll
Yeah.
slowly build as this goes in. But I think the number is that you are gonna look for is 5 and 500.
Yep.
That's gonna be the number at the way this is going. If Brock Purdy can pull in 250,000,000,
Yeah.
if Lamar, as great as Lamar is, he still hasn't made a Super Bowl. Um, and yes, my son is so brilliant today. Like the league is all but admitted that collusion has happened.
Mhm.
But if they want to blame anybody for the way that quarterback salaries are going, you blame the Miami Dolphins,
Yep.
blame the Philadelphia Eagles, you blame the Arizona Cardinals, you blame nobody more than the Cleveland Browns,
Oh yeah.
and you just understand that this is now. So it was Mahomes was 10 years and 450. I think, and which was a shock at the point that he signed that, right? Because he signed that in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. 5 years ago.
So
Crazy.
5 and 150 or 5 and 500 makes a tremendous amount of sense to me.
Yeah, and I mean that's just listen. It sounds daunting, it sounds scary, but if listen, guess who's
The
gonna
cap
pay
will
it?
be 300,000,000
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that point. So, like, 300 plus. So if you're looking at, like, somebody making 80 is 33% of the cap. Guess what? At him making 100, at 300,000,000 is a cap, 33%, you're right back there.
And let's not forget about well, depending on if it ever gets built, but they're gonna have a whole different set of revenue streams coming in once this new stadium finally, you know,
Oh,
comes to fruition. So it's, and listen, I don't want to go down the baseball route, but it's like not the deferred money. They're not doing that, but like how the Dodgers did with Otani. His contract is essentially, the Dodgers signed so many deals in Japan with all these different businesses. His money that he's due is the Dodger. It's already paid for. You know what I mean? With
it's
endorsements and all of this shit and the Bears, if they're smart, listen, they can't do the deferred money, but the revenue stream cars that they could have in just with the naming rights on the stadium is going to be massive.
well,
That's
it's a
something that
little
they've never had before.
It's a little different as compared to baseball
Yeah.
because the biggest
No
difference
cap.
is the NFL is, well, even outside of that, everybody spends in the
Yep.
NFL.
Yep.
Everybody. You don't have a Pittsburgh Pirates that is gonna ruin the start of Paul Skeen's life,
Right.
basically, and then trade him for a bunch of prospects because you never wanna spend over 35,000,000. The greatest thing that happens for the NFL is that the Green Bay Packers are a publicly traded organization, so
The
all their
books.
books always have to be open. And so everybody knows how much everybody's making, and so everybody spends. But you're absolutely right. Like when this stadium happens, this isn't gonna have to be like the LA Clippers and Kawhi Leonard where this is all under the table. That dude could do like a Portillo's commercial,
Yeah.
a Lou Malnati's commercial, and whatever else you want to have as Chicago run businesses and be tied in. And he would just print money.
Yeah.
And he's going to, because he's learning from Tom Brady. Tom Brady did a lot of the same things. He starts to do a lot of commercials, started to do a lot of things. That's where his revenue is going to come. That's going to be all his longevity.
So Andrew Whitworth really went on the broadcast tonight and said that he thought the Chicago Bears defense would be better under Dennis Allen than what they've showed.
I mean, if you look through week 1 and 4,
yeah,
sure,
that's
last
interesting.
2.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like a weird time to be calling them out, but who knows?
Well, when it's kind of, we make this joke a lot. I like to make the reference to Ricky Bobby, where I don't know what to do with my hands. When
Yeah.
there's all this positivity around the Bears that's actually legitimate, and it's not like, anybody could go, yeah, but they beat Mitch threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, but it was Tampa Bay. They have one of the worst defenses in the league. When they're actually winning, and like, I don't think most of these people knew what to do when we beat the Commanders.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody had written this narrative of like, see, Jaden Daniels is the better quarterback. This is why they should have done this. And when that happened, you're like, oh, I don't. What do I do now?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last night on Keeping It 100. I just think that, Cars, we've been doing this a long time. I mean, not even just doing shows and content.
We've been talking about this for so long.
Yeah, but you condition yourself for the worst possible scenario as a Bears fan. If something good happens, if the Bears have an 85-yard touchdown,
you expect that
we're gonna miss the extra point, and then they're gonna return the kickoff. You know what I mean? That's just the way that you are, and I think that so many people are stuck in that. Like, there's no way the Bears are gonna have a quarterback that's gonna be amongst the top at his position. And is he there yet? No. But is he on his way? Yes, he is. But I just think that there's so many people out there that just cannot accept the fact that it's the Chicago Bears, and well, I don't want to get into any of your stuff, but I mean, just the big plays alone by this team this season.
We're the number 1 big play offense on a per game basis.
Yeah.
What is this? When has this ever been our Bears? It was 1995 when Eric Kramer was throwing to Curtis Conway and Jeff Graham, right?
Yep. And
Not us.
Yeah. And the Bears couldn't stop a lick on defense. The one year that we had, a horrible defense and had a great offense, and just, it's the way that it goes back to same thing with the first Tressman year when we were showing some life on offense, and our big signings that year on defense were James Anderson and DJ Williams. And I still see James Anderson staring at the ball at his feet
while it's on the ground.
All he had to do was pick it up. Oh, God. What qualifies as a big play?
So for most organizations today, you're talking about it is 10 plus, sometimes 15 plus, depending on the statistic, but it's 10 to 15 plus yard plays. So they're sometimes often called as explosive plays, but it's really something that is like just think of it as an automatic a first down on a play based on like a 1st and 10 type of number.
Yep. All right, man, let's dive in. I know you got some good information here.
This one will be fun. So do you want to start offense, or let's start defense? Since our friend Andre Whitworth took that shot.
Andrew, yeah.
Andre, too. I'm thinking of the old FSU guy, I think.
Wadsworth.
That's my brain is shot. So
here's you just want to go back to the Curtis Enos draft. Thanks, man. That was fun.
Oh, when we got told we drafted a penis for a long time.
Passing up Randy Moss and
running back. I'm going to start here on the defense, and this is going to be a difference between like the run defense the first 4 weeks and what's happened the subsequent ones, and I think this is going to sort of blow everybody's mind. So when you look at the left-hand column, you're going to look at, this is the average yards before contact and yards after contact per rush. And then you'll see things like stuff rate. So meaning stuff for no gain to negative play. And then you look at those explosive run rates. So in this regards, explosive run rate is 15 or more yards by the thing that I used. But when you look at those numbers, right, the first, and this is, oftentimes we see these, Shane, and we go, yeah, but look who they played. Well, Washington was and is the second best run offense in the league, and they're part of this as a statistic. So when you look at that, like, we dropped 2 yards before contact. We dropped 1.5 yards after contact. Our stuff rate went up by 13%. And our explosive run rate, we cut in half over this period of time. So when you look at like what's working in that defense, if you take these numbers and flip-flop them, this is what happened last year for the Bears under Matt Eberflus, when we could stop the run in the first half and then completely crapped out in the second. But right now, this defense, yes, the interceptions are key, and there's a lot to take away from there, but everything starts up front. And those are incredible, incredible numbers. If you're talking about, I look at this and this means that 24 carries average, 84 yards of rushing the last 2 weeks. You're talking about just under 3 yards per carry. And it's showing up over and over. I think it's really impressive to see how that's changed. I think we give a lot of credit to the use of Andrew Billings and Gervon Dexter in those games. I think moving Tremaine Edmonds to weak side linebacker outside of the middle,
he looks like a completely different player. I mean, completely. He looks more explosive. He looks more invested, Cars. He really does. You know, another thing we talked about is you go back to the Roquan trade, and listen, I can remember when the Bears drafted Roquan in 2018. You know, you're excited. You're bringing in this, at the time of 20, or maybe had just turned 21-year-old, middle linebacker in Chicago. And then it got, not a lot of people talk about it. Roquan had some issues here, not on the field, but, some questions off the field, more than one that were kind of concerning.
And I think South Africa trip,
and played into the Bears giving this guy a boatload of cash, and seeing how that goes. But when you break it down, and we've talked about this before, but it's important now, because the money that they paid Roquan, the Bears paid Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards with what Baltimore paid Roquan Smith. They also got back 2nd and 5th round draft picks that year. They got special teams linebacker A.J. Klein in that deal also. The 2nd round pick that they got from Baltimore, they drafted Gervon Dexter with. The 5th round pick that they got from Baltimore, they drafted Noah Sewell. So with the money the same, is there anybody in this chat, because it was a resounding no last night in the Keep It at 100 chat, are you trading Gervon Dexter, Noah Sewell, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds for Roquan Smith? I'm not.
By the way, fans of Baltimore were complaining the first half of the year, and I don't know if this complaint sounds familiar to you, Shane, but they're like, man, he came to camp out of shape, and he's playing himself into shape this year. Weird how that continues to happen, isn't it?
It does. And listen, what was the biggest Roquan on the field? The biggest flaw in his game was big. He was always a great tackler. His tackling numbers were always high, but it was the takeaways. He hasn't had massive sack numbers, but his numbers in Baltimore, it's like, 3-4 sacks, stuff like that. But
his sack numbers were better in Chicago, where it was averaging over 4 a season to now 1.5. He has forced 2 fumbles and has gotten 3 interceptions in his 4 years here.
Tremaine has 3 this year through 6 games. And what did he have what did he have? Was it his first year he had? I think Tremaine's had 3 interceptions at least twice in his 2 seasons plus 6 games.
So he had 4 interceptions year 1,
Yep.
1 interception year 2, and he's got 3 through here, and he's got 2 forced fumbles as well, and has actually scored a touchdown as part of one of his.
And oh yeah, by the way, he's younger than Roquan Smith, which is, listen, he's still only 27 years old. He just turned 27 in May.
That's
Tremaine
insane.
Edmonds.
That's an insane. I mean, you look at that and you're just kind of like, and look, it's one of those positions.
You can hang your Tremaine Edmonds jersey back up, by the way, Cars.
It's here. It's over there. It is there. I haven't taken it down yet. But listen, like Roquan's a good player, but we've always talked about off the ball linebackers. There's only one that I would pay, and that's Fred Warner in San Francisco.
Yep.
Nobody else comes close. It doesn't mean that he's not a good player. It doesn't mean that he's not a solid player.
And you want to know something disgusting about that?
What's that?
They drafted Fred Warner with a 3rd round draft pick that we gave them in the Mitch Trubisky trade.
I hate you. Sorry, did that come out?
Oh, I have some doozies. We traded a 7th rounder to Green Bay one year for punt returner Glenn Milburn. And you're like, oh, he did pretty well for Chicago. The only problem was with that 7th rounder, Green Bay drafted Donald Driver, who is a notorious Chicago Bears killer. But yeah.
No, I think it's been insane. But I think, you just look at this team and obviously I don't think you can put anybody else above Kyler Gordon as the MVP of the defense, because a lot of this is around his return and the craziness of things that they do with him. But the defense absolutely feels on the way up, which is super weird to feel like, and it's encouraging. But let's look at the offensive side and see how that works as well. So when you look at those numbers on the rush side, this is where it gets super fascinating. And so again, where you saw that decline on the defensive side, look at that growth in it. To go to 1.2 yards before contact to 3.5 yards in a matter of weeks. And understanding that Washington and New Orleans aren't super stout against the run, but these were not numbers that they were giving up at that point. The yards after contact has moved up a little bit, but I think we kind of expected that. That's not the type of runner that DeAndre Swift is. But look at that explosive run rate. To go from 0.9 to 9% over 2 weeks. That means, again, talking about 15-yard runs.
What do you think was the focus over the bye week, Cars?
It might have been that run game. It might be that, like they might have focused on that, but I think it shows. I looked it up and I shared this with you. The Bears had 2 running backs over 80 yards for the first time since Matt Suhey and Walter Payton did it in December of 1985.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you look at that and you're like, we're wondering when was Monangai going to get more look, and you saw that this past week, and you saw the explosiveness, and you do see a little bit different of the way that he hits the hole compared to DeAndre. He had an 11-yard run out of Roschon Johnson, like just out of nowhere. The fact that the Bears can sit down and just look at this over and over again and just go, we can run. Yeah. I don't care who you are. We can run. And spoiler alert, you can run on Buffalo, who has been bad against the run at a really terrible rate. It's like, that's your story right there. And you give Ben credit because most of our coordinators at this point would have been like, fine, we'll just use the run to basically
Set up the pass. Yeah.
set up a pass a little bit. And here we're like, no, we'll pass to set up the run. We'll run to set up the pass. But we're going to keep feeding the ball to our running backs until the score gets to a point where that doesn't work. How many times have we been like at a 7-point deficit?
Yeah.
We've been like air.
Yeah.
It's not the case.
Cars under Matt Nagy or under Matt Eberflus or whatever, Caleb versus Vegas, Caleb versus New Orleans has 40 plus pass attempts against both.
And we lose.
And they lose. Yeah, no, that's
not even like that. The Vegas game, I completely agree. It's like that is the one that you sit back and like, we couldn't run the ball, so we're just going to go air, which is just going to let Max Crosby pin his ears back and destroy us. And Ben's ability to not do that saved it. And that's all that happened. That's all that basically made that decision for us. And yeah, it's wild, man. It's super wild.
It is, man, and it's a whole lot of fun because it's uncharted territory. And I know I always laugh when people are like, this is 2018. It's not 2018 because there's no comparison at quarterback. There's just not. Just remove everything else. Mitch Trubisky didn't have the pelts on the wall that Caleb does, just at a quarterback level in terms of what they both put on tape. Matt Nagy, you could call him an offensive genius. That was always Andy Reid. What was his history calling plays? It was that playoff game
that lost.
They lost in grand fashion where they blew the lead.
And why did they blow the lead?
Right.
Because he abandoned the run game completely.
Right, exactly. And Ben has much more success as a play caller. That's where it's wildly different.
It's we had Allen Robinson was our number one wideout.
Yeah.
Allen would be number 3 here, maybe number 4. Our offensive line, not a single player on that 2018 team other than Kyle Long would be able, and healthy peak Kyle Long would be able to play on the offensive line.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, if he was, like you said, healthy peak, you're not making the trade for Jonah Jackson. He's your right guard. And it would have been interesting to see what what this staff, because they're not afraid to make the moves. I know Phil was always banging the drum for Kyle Long at left tackle.
I mean, like Evan Jenkins.
Yeah.
We don't, for whatever reason, we stopped talking about that one.
Yeah.
No, but you're like at tight end, we're better. And you're right. It all starts with the play caller who has way more pelts on the wall than Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
And he said way more pelts on the wall than anybody we've had in this spot. Probably, well, since Lovey. I mean, and Lovey, and he still has more to me than Lovey. Because Lovey didn't have to do that for as long as Ben did, and he didn't have to necessarily resuscitate an all but dead franchise. But you're right; it's not the same because they're finding ways to win. We often talk about like you've got to learn how to win. If this were different staffs, we minimally would have lost one of the last 3 games, if not all 3.
Agree. Renowned Caleb Williams hater Joe Treviso is in the chat. Whenever Chicago had success in the past, it was with a great defense and a good running game. I was just hoping this year it would be with the quarterback. Well, it is.
Dallas didn't happen. Dallas didn't happen. Right?
It is this year, Joe. He's improving every single week. Just admit that you come into the chat and say you don't like Caleb Williams. It's fine. I know your Twitter timeline is filled with the same thing over and over and over and over again. And then you'll bow out and not say shit in the comments after I call you out for the second week in a row. Enjoy your evening.
Well, let me just do something here. give me a second here. Let's see if I can drag this here. Give me a keep lynching him while you can, and but no, I think it's there we go. Friend of the show and my son shared this earlier. So when you talk about this as a statistic,
Yeah, this was the Colin Cowherd thing that I was talking to you about. Yeah.
so and you bring up a great point. Jared Goff, this is year 6.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, this is year 3. 2.
2.
2.
Yeah.
Sorry,
year
I saw
2.
3 interceptions and I blanked to that. So what are we doing here? Like, you want to compare to other teams right now and say all of this? Like, be my guest, but it's if we're not sitting here and saying like we're not winning because of the quarterback, you're ignoring a hell of a lot of throws that are being made, a hell of a lot of decisions. Sure, there are mistakes that are being made. Yes, he absolutely has room to grow, but this is a comparison between a kid in year 2 versus year 6. Jared Goff went from Sean McVay to Ben Johnson. Like, that's not a downgrade at any level. That is an on par. So he's worked with 2 brilliant offensive minds throughout his career, and his numbers don't look that much better. In fact, from a passer rating and things along those lines, it's really not. So when we make this argument, yes, we will win because of a quarterback at different points. Caleb Williams already has more game-winning drives this season than he did all of last. He has 2. Now you can sit down and say, well, like he ran the ball in a lot of them. If you're hearing kill, that's
Right.
him making the decision at the line to switch from a pass to a run play or from a run play to a pass play. If those get success, does he not get credit for reading the defense before the snap, understanding what is happening, and getting the ball to the right person? That's his job as a general. And again, Ben Johnson is saying, we're not making this easy on him. I'm not giving him easy outs. We want to sit down and talk about, I want to win because of him. I want to win because of him. And I get it, but like, who is Washington beating because
Right.
of Jaden Daniels? Right? Like,
Yeah.
which of his games this year would you say that he absolutely dominated? He has yet to throw for over 240 yards.
Mhm.
He threw 3 touchdowns against us. That's probably his best game, but guess what? They lost, including him having the game-losing fumble in that game. And in this last week, when everybody's sitting here and complaining about, oh, look at him, he took a step back. He took a step back. He wasn't good. Nobody wants to talk about Jaden going 12 for 22 for 156 against the same team that Caleb threw for 298 and 4 touchdowns.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, man. We talked about it to lead off the show, and I know I kind of got sidetracked here when my guy Joe here says that I don't know shit about him. I'm wanting him to be the one we win of, but yeah,
You just don't ask that
nice.
in year 2.
But I mean, if you go to a timeline like Joe's right here, Caleb sucks bad. Nope, Caleb sucks ass. It's because I hate to admit it, but Caleb sucks ass. Caleb sucks ass. Caleb sucks ass. I want to draft Caleb and trade Fields, but Caleb sucks ass. Like CHGO, Caleb sucks ass. So yeah, Joe, point proven, right? I'm sorry, bud. Yeah, you got outed live on air. Enjoy it. Take it. Sorry, Joe. I win. You lose. Sorry, bud.
It's another
Cars.
great.
I'll turn it
Cars
back
piece.
over to your show. There you go.
Awesome. So I think it's, look, I get it, but it's not what you expect in year 2. I think there's a long history of these players where you go back and look, and I would argue, Shane, that the only one that really made the most direct impact in his like second year would be Joe Burrow.
Right.
And Mahomes as well. Please don't get me wrong, but that's a little different scenario. But like Joe Burrow is the one. But you look at like Josh Allen. He went from what a struggle to he went and completed 58.8% of his passes in year 2 and then went to year 3 where it exploded. They started to win games in year 3 because of this. Remember in year 2 they were like the guy's still inaccurate. He still can't throw the ball. He thinks I'm gonna this is the last one we're showing. Joe, we've talked about it openly when we say that he's had a bad game.
All day. It's
So the whole fact that we call you out and you say that all you say is he sucks, if I don't say all the time that he sucks, that he hasn't sucked in any games, then you're hearing what you want to hear and you've proven the point.
Joe used to be a patron. It's fine. He's not now, and I'm not going against him for that. But I'm just saying we've called Caleb out for his issues 100%. I literally said on this show tonight that Caleb needs to be better. But if you don't think that he's shown improvement every single week, it's simple. You just don't know football. You're not invested into it like that. You're interested in stats. You're interested in fantasy football. That's fine. You can fan however the fuck you want. But I'm not going to sit here and let shit like that slide. I know who Joe is. I know that Joe has an issue with TTNL. That's fine. But I'm also going to call you out by name, and I'll show shit live on air. You don't like it? Don't watch. I don't care. I don't need Joe in the comments. If you want to stay, stay. It's good. I'm not going to block you. Just is what it is. And people that say that Caleb has not shown improvement just don't know football. It's
and have
fine.
Not listened to a single press conference of Ben Johnson, Declan Doyle, or anybody else. Because what are they saying in those moments? They're saying he has improved and they trust him. And if you think that that's not the case, and we're going to go look at all of these things. I mean, what did Kurt Warner say?
Yeah.
Like everybody looks at Drake May and sees the stats, but he's going to get killed taking these hits. I wish that he was doing what Caleb Williams was doing with some of those
cars. We talked about it before any of these guys took a snap, and we took a ton of heat. TTNL was in consensus on where we wanted the Bears to go in 2024 at quarterback in the draft. And listen, we've all had disagreements about players or Phil likes somebody and I don't like him, or you like somebody and I don't like him. We were in consensus on Caleb. Year 1, Jaden came out and played better than I expected him to play. But what did we talk about? We talked about huge concerns with Jaden Daniels' body structure, that injuries were going to become an issue, that teams were going to figure out certain things with Jaden Daniels. Is he having the same year that he had in year 1? No, he's not. So Jaden Daniels was the belle of the ball last year. This year, it's Drake May. Drake May is playing better than I expected out of Drake May in year 2.
After week 3, people were calling him Drake Maybe because he was still so good for a couple of turnovers. And who has he gone out and played since then? It's been Carolina, Buffalo, New Orleans, and Tennessee.
Yep. Yeah, and listen, you can only play who's on your schedule. I get it. Nothing is set in stone in year 1 in terms of somebody's career. Nothing is set in stone in season 2 in their career. You got to project out, especially at this position, to see how this is all going to work out. Caleb has been vilified by fans like Joe, by people like Colin Cowherd that are just in it for clicks and all of that. Kurt Warner came out and said he sees clear progress. Chase Daniel came out, said that he sees clear progress. Who was the
QB room guy?
Nate Tice is another one that's talked about it.
a bunch of them have come through and said, like you see it, his biggest problem remains the occasional footwork. When he is missing people, his footwork.
Tim Jenkins. Yeah.
Tim Jenkins, thank you. That's what I want. Yes. It remains footwork. But oftentimes the decision making's there. I mean, I would love to see his numbers if we didn't have some just absolutely horrendous pass interference calls played that you could tell from Declan Doyle's conversation they've been told were called incorrectly. How much would it be nice if Roma Dunze could make a contested catch this year, because he's had several that he should have had and he has dropped.
78th in the league right now in contested catch rate. 78th after he was third in the NFL in 2024.
So there are things that are missing, but it's, again, these things are not linear. Ben has even used that exact phrase. This is not linear growth. This is going to be a little this, and then it's going to come down, and it's going to go back up, and it's going to move. And that's what happens with all of these guys. But you look at, like, Jared Goff made a step from year 1 to year 2, and year 3 is when it took off. Josh Allen, year 1 to year 2, year 3 is where it took off. So as long as he's moving up in that direction, and let's be honest, he's probably going to pass for about 38 to 4,000 yards. He's going to throw for over 25 touchdowns, which are numbers that are pedestrian for the most part for a lot of teams, but are going to set are going to be like second best, third best seasons in Bears history. And if that's the floor of where this is going, it's going up and up. And so I really look at this like, what I see the biggest limiter so far in the offense is, Shane, is we're trying to figure out how to get all the pieces involved. Cole Kmet has been really quiet. Alameda was hot early. He's tailed off. You want to see Luther Burden start to come into the mix. You're starting to see Manungai.
If you pause right there, this is the absolute difference, Cars. And again, when I say that you and I have been friends since 95, the biggest difference is, so you're talking about Cole Kmet. You have Colston Loveland. You're talking about Zacchaeus. You have Luther Burden. That right there is uncharted territory with the Chicago Bears. It is. And I'm not talking about just cursory players that you're talking about high upside, high value picks. My bold prediction for this week is for this to be the Colston Loveland game. I just feel like it's brewing against Baltimore,
because Baltimore doesn't really have anyone to match up with him. I mean, you want to have 5'11" 3/4 Roquan go up against Colston. I mean, you're gonna what's going to be interesting about that is they're going to have to leverage Kyle Hamilton basically 100%. On him,
right?
And that's going to open everything else
up. Yeah,
and
totally agree.
For a team that has no pass rush and is one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, that Roquan is not going to make instant improvement. Roquan is a great cleanup guy, but you need what's the guy's name? Metabuke.
Yep.
You're going to need a guy like him up front to free him up. They don't have that guy anymore.
So, Dr. Crot Magic. So this is the thing, and I've seen this come up. So initially with Justin, when we were breaking down things for the draft, yes, we talked about it. We talked about negatives with Justin. TTNL came to a consensus rather early with the way that things were going, and Phil was the first among us all where we started to see the concerns, and we're calling it out. Go back to Justin's last year here, where people were, you got to get the haul, you got to build around Justin, all of that stuff. We were off of him. We talked about it the year before when the Bears had the number 1 pick, and you're like, no, you're going to give him another year, see what you have in him, and then worst case scenario with the trade down, you hope that Carolina's bad, and you get a pick within the top 3. We were lucky to get number 1. We never sat here and said to build the team around Justin Fields. Never said that.
We
You were
lost
hope.
it
Yeah,
in
you
year
were
2.
hope. Right. You were hopeful in the beginning, but there was way too many flaws within Justin's mechanics of where it just you could see it when everybody's saying that Caleb was a tick slow with the processing. Justin had that also, but then on top of it, he had this and then this and then being slow with the throw, being slower with the release. So
In year 2, Justin had 1 game where he threw for over 250 yards. And he only had 2 games in total that he threw over 200. And if I remember correctly, I think we started to get a little worried after the Houston game that year, which was game 3. But it was the last Green Bay game where he had the 2 interceptions and just looked lost, that we were kind of like, that's the book. That's the book.
Right.
And it got so bad. Shane, did you see the play? What was it when he was in New York? I think it was against, hold on, let me look. It was against Miami, I feel like, where they had a 3rd down. It was against Miami because he had killed him on the run. Miami dropped all of its defensive linemen to not even attempt to rush the passer because they feared his legs more than his arm.
Right.
So we had hope and we had believed, had belief that Justin would put the work in. Unfortunately, it seems like he never really put the work in, but it was never that. And by year 3, no, the haul was for none of us was on the table.
No, we did. It would have been the devastator for the franchise.
Oh,
for the Bears too. I mean, we weren't even. This wasn't even just solely a Caleb thing. We were off Justin for other quarterbacks in that draft. If you hadn't had the number 1 pick, if you were
easily.
at 2 or 3, yeah, we were.
We were.
I mean, it's on record.
We were way into like CJ Stroud or someone else. Yeah, he had shown who he was.
And that was even the year before. But we were on record. So the CJ Stroud draft was 2023. We were on record as giving Justin another year and trading down out of the quarterback sweepstakes, acquiring, trying to get the high pick for 2024, because the way that we projected it was the 2024 class was going to be one that you wanted to be involved in. You'd have more answers on Justin, and then you would give yourself another bullet in the 2024 draft. Like I said, you can literally go back and where we talked about this, and everybody remembers the quarterback civil war in Chicago. We were never team Justin on that ever. I mean, we lost people that we had on this network over it. And it is what it is.
That's true. So the last thing, now that on to others, the last thing I wanted to show is just a couple of just interesting stats of things that I want people to be kept abreast of. But it's 5 of the 6 teams that they've faced have given up over 100 yards rushing to. And the Rams are the one team that they held, and the Rams have had a bad year running the ball overall, because all 3 of their games at over 100 yards were against some of the worst run defenses in the NFL. When you look at like what they've done, the defense for Baltimore has only given up under 300 yards 1 time, and they gave up over 300 yards to the friggin' Cleveland Browns. Like, I don't know how you do that. They gave up 44 points and 417 yards to the Texans, who are the 23rd best offense, and that team has looked lost.
Yep.
When you look at they've had 3 games where they've rushed as a team for over 100 yards, which came against Buffalo, who is the 31st ranked defense. Kansas City's 15th, but you sort of asterisk that because one of their runs was 71 yards. Everything else was stuffed. and the Rams. They're fourth worst in the NFL at yards after contact in the run game. They're turning over the ball at a very big rate. The passing game is all Zay and Andrews. After Justice Hill, nobody has more than 10 catches. Uh I think it's 9 is the next one to DeAndre Hopkins. They've given up 23 sacks last year. They've already given up 20 this year.
Wow.
15 of them were in the first 4 games. 7 of those happened to be against Detroit. But you look at that, and their quarterbacks are getting hit at a rate of basically 3 times a game, which is unheard of for them.
What was the designation today for
Lamar?
Lamar? What
Limited.
was that? Limited?
Limited.
Because I know that the line did move from 6.5 to 6. So I don't know if it, we'll see if that trend continues.
I think back-to-back limited days, because he's just really doing throwing exercises.
And don't forget, they play Thursday next week.
Yeah, and Thursday, if I remember correctly, is like it's a bigger game, I feel like, for them. Not necessarily because of anything else, but I feel like maybe I'm wrong. Let me look real quick.
Yeah.
It's Miami. So Miami's a much easier team for him to come back against. But this is a must-win game for them, because I think if they lose this, they know they have no shot at the playoffs. But if you look at that too, they don't rush the passer tremendously well. Matabuke has 2 of their 8 sacks, and he's been out since week 2, after some part in week 2. So this is a team that is 32nd in defensive scoring, 30th in yards, is 28th in the defense against passing yards. They're 26th in rushing yards, 30th in rushing touchdowns, and only have 8 sacks.
Right. And Cars, we know. Just let me answer Eric here, because I think he's talking about my prediction last night. I went 27-21 Baltimore, and Cars and I talked about this a little bit pre-show. I'm staying of the mindset of, I did the same thing when the Bears were going to Vegas on the road. I'm like, prove it to me that you're going to go on the road, you're going to win. All right, you did it. All right, now you got another one on the road, your redemption game. I shouldn't have to coach you up to get motivated for this game. Prove it to me that you're going to go on the road again on Monday on national TV, Monday Night Football, Caleb's return home, and you're going to get out of there with a W. You did it. All right, now prove to me that you're not going to come home to an inferior team and lay down like we've seen Bears teams in the past. So I'm trying to stay on the same level. Just prove it to me, because this is what the Bears need to do, because so many years we talked about it. The Bears, the year they made the Super Bowl, we started off 7-0. Don't forget, we came home after that Arizona game and we lost to Joey Harrington and the Miami Dolphins. Cars, do I have to remind you of the Brock Osweiler games?
I'd rather you didn't.
Right, but you know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Prove it to me. Keep on going out there and proving me wrong. Do I have excitement and faith in what the Bears are doing? Yes, I started off the show with that. Prove it to me. Go on the road again. Go get a big W, and I don't give a shit who it is. Who's at quarterback? Yeah, you know what? If Lamar's out there, go beat him. You can't get by with facing Cooper Rush every week. At some point, you're going to have to slay the big dog on the road if you want to get where you want to get. So I'm not going to be pissed off if Lamar's playing. I want the litmus test with this team against a bona fide MVP, caliber quarterback. Now, obviously, not so much this year, but I'm just saying, prove it to me. Go out there and prove me wrong. Let's turn the page on the old Bears, make this the new Bears. Prove me wrong. You've proved me wrong the last couple of weeks. Do it again this week in Baltimore. That's where I'm at.
I'm of the same thing. Listen, this is a game the Bears 100% should win. Now it's incredibly difficult to go out and win 5 straight in the NFL. We've seen that over and over again. And we're going to be playing in Baltimore, and Baltimore has a tremendous amount on the line, right? They're 1-5 right now. Cincinnati got gifted a quarterback because Cleveland is stupid. Uh, so they look at these things and they kind of go, but Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh is only 3 games ahead at this point with a lot to play, and
Yeah.
Pittsburgh hasn't looked overly good in those games. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the arm that he looks at. They can sit down and convince themselves that, hey, if we win this game, we're 2-5, and we still got a good chance of taking the Steelers. But if you beat this game, if you win,
Yeah.
the Ravens are blowing it up. There's already rumors that this is my favorite one that I'm reading, is that the Ravens are going to make a big trade, and because a team
Yeah.
needs certain help, they're going to trade him to Matt Eberflus and the Dallas Cowboys to give that team some help, which would make me laugh. But this, like, when you look at what's on the line for the Ravens, if they lose, this is most likely John Harbaugh's last year. This is most likely, and we can go down the rabbit hole of how poorly Baltimore has drafted since Ozzie
Yeah.
has left and how they've
Yep.
really struggled there. But if this is kind of like when you're playing a team that has to be knocked out. This
Yeah.
is like you can't go win on a technicality. This is a team you're going to have to go punch out because this team still believes until you give them a reason not to.
For the first time in a long time, when you think about the Baltimore Ravens and Baltimore Ravens football, they're fucking bullies. They're tone setters. The fucking Chargers are putting the fucking knuckles to Minnesota.
I mean, dude,
About to be 31-3 here in the third quarter.
dude, if you look at this, I'm sorry for continually say dude, but how bad Kwesi got his extension? How bad does that look right now? Because JJ, I will never be convinced otherwise. I'm convinced that the Minnesota Vikings recognize that they've got a dud and they're doing everything they can do to hide it for
Cars,
another
there was
year.
just a play on the sideline of a player going out of bounds, and JJ McCarthy juked them and jumped and looks completely healthy.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's even people tweeting about it on X now, and that's the thing.
It feels like that's the case because him winning the NFL Player of the Week, week 1, was an insult because he was shit for 3.5 quarters.
So I spoke to Carson once, threw a pick, but his knee ended up being down, so the pick six didn't count.
But like Minnesota and all the goodness, if JJ McCarthy isn't anything, what are you doing if you're that team?
Yeah, no,
They're gonna go trade for Kirk Cousins, and that will be your telltale sign that they have given up on JJ. I am confident that they will make a trade here before the deadline for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that would be. I could see it. I don't think you're wrong, and it's going to be November 4th. Correct?
November 4th. So we got about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's going to be. I know they. Jeremy Fowler and ESPN came out and they had the Bears on a couple of lists. One of them was with defensive end Jermaine Johnson. They had Chicago and Philly. I don't think they had them on the Phillips one with Miami.
No.
Philadelphia was literally involved in like every single trade all the way down through, but it's going to be interesting because do I want the Bears trading a future first round pick or second round pick or anything like that? No, I don't think the guys that we're talking about, you will have to. But I I don't have any problem with the Bears adding more firepower if there's somebody that Dennis Allen believes in on the defensive side of the ball. Because Cars, let's just be honest. I mean, Dio Adangbo's a fucking robot out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing that has the puts the ceiling on this franchise right now is Ryan Poles more than anything else.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the way that we have to look at this is kind of like that first year again with Dan Campbell in Detroit, where they made it, or second year, excuse me, where they made it to 9-8. And that was the year that went through and launched them kind of into that next stratosphere.
Right.
That's what this year is. The goal is to make the playoffs. Please don't get me wrong. And they want to make the playoffs. But the goal is for next year to be that year that they not only just make the playoffs, they make a deep run into the playoffs, and every year afterwards to be that threat. So yeah, you're right. Like if you can get a Breece Hall or a Jalen Phillips, you look at that because those are young guys still
Right. And
with
that's
upside.
Yeah, it is asking about that. You're thinking of the wrong player. We're talking about Jalen Phillips, the pass rusher. So outside pass rusher.
Yes. And you kind of look at Philly. Yeah. Why would Philly do it? They just signed Brandon Graham out of retirement.
Yeah.
Like that tells you how bad it is.
Oh, Howie ain't standing pat. We both know that.
What's interesting about this year is I think it's fully been exposed that teams have been like, fine, we'll make Jalen Hurts beat us through the air. They have zero respect for that man as a thrower of the football.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's interesting. But yeah, I think you're right. Like if there's a young player that comes available, yeah, I don't see them going after. He's not available because Cincinnati's back in it, but I don't see them going now after a Trey Hendrickson because I think he's too old and that sort of thing. But if there are young players to look around, and I think it's important to note, like the Saints are going to be sellers, but they're pretty old. I think the Ravens are going to be sellers. They have some old. I think the Jets. Jermaine Johnson, I think, is a guy that the Bears will kick the tires on a little bit. But I think the Jets are going to be sellers. You're going to see a lot more sellers this year than you have in years past. Because I don't know about you, I don't feel like any team is above anybody else. Like there's no clear cut team now that you're afraid of.
You were talking about, early on, I honestly felt like Philadelphia was going to separate themselves from pretty much everybody in the NFC, and it hasn't worked out that way. I mean, they almost lost to the team that we're watching getting, stomped right now. But yeah, we'll just see how it plays out. But I hope that Ryan Poles isn't just sitting back and saying, oh, we're gonna get good enough from within. If there's a chance, if Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson see, hey, we feel like that, player A or player B can make a difference, Ryan Poles has to invest in the belief of this coaching staff with what they've done so far and go get another weapon for this defense, or if Ben wants somebody on offense. And I mean, listen, Cars, would you be completely shocked if they involved Cole Kmet in a trade?
No.
Me either. I wouldn't be at all, because the way that he's got nothing left on his deal in terms of guaranteed dollars, or it's absolutely minuscule. I think the Bears end up saving like 9 or 10
in the offseason.
million.
Yeah, they said they save 8. I think it's 8.5.
Yeah. So I hope Ryan Poles isn't limiting himself and just say, all right, we're gonna give Roshan's gonna give us another hard-nosed runner. And I know he takes a lot of bullets, but that 11-yard run that he had
was
the longest run that he has had in his last 78 carries, was that 11-yard run. And that takes you back to December of 2023. He's only had 78 carries since December 24th, 2023. 78 carries, and his long is 11 yards. That's just not, I don't want to hear that he's a special teams demon. He's not. We've watched the tape. That's what you have Travis Homer for, right? That's what, it's just stop.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, he's played 4 offensive snaps all year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 76 on special teams. No, there was one question I wanted to throw up. It's 0. This is why I say Jermaine Johnson in New York, because Jermaine is on his 4th year and Will is a year earlier. So they're looking at this like we could keep Will and not have to bite off into that any sooner. So Johnson is a player that I think the Bears are going to look at. He would be the one I think that is onto his 5th year, isn't he? Or is it my year?
2022 he was drafted.
Yeah, so we're getting closer and closer, but I think he's, the Jets are a team you have to watch because I just dumpster fires have burned cleaner.
Yeah.
Hell, since I just came back from San Francisco, the streets of San Francisco have been a cleaner thing than the dumpster fire that is the New York Jets, and that is saying a tremendous amount from my side.
Yeah, and Sean is listen. I am with him on that 100% because I think Durham Smythe is better than people realize. I'm not saying that he's gangbusters, but this is why you drafted Colston Loveland. And remember all the people that said he can't block? Well, we got some interesting tape that proves otherwise.
And how about that? We heard the same thing about Luther Burden, and then look at the way that he's blocked on the run game. Like it's insane. It really is.
No, I totally agree. Do you have anything else, Cars, or is that?
No, that's everything. I mean, I think, look, if I look at this, my analytical brain says this is a game that we should win, and that but much like you, I'm in this prove it mode.
Nope. Sorry. Yes, sir. Ahmed. Nope.
No, I think that was for someone else, not for us.
Yeah, I know.
But I think, if I think the other interesting point, there's only one team that has scored 21 points in every game this year. That's us.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting a 24-21 loss, but it wouldn't shock me if it is, a 35-21 win, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to go in expecting it's going to be close. I think the team has shown enough that they will compete. They'll compete at a high level. They're not going to get blown out. And Scottish, while I don't disagree with this, I think what's been fascinating is that the Ravens have not been physical this year.
Yeah, they've been the anti-Ravens. Yeah, that way.
Now they've pulled out. It's always problematic when you're like, they've pulled all the pool tables and the ping pong tables out of the locker room.
Yeah.
It sounds very much like what's going on in Miami. But no, I think I'm predicting a 24-21 loss.
Do you have a bold prediction Bears-wise for that?
I do. Austin Booker returns and gets 2 sacks.
That would be a wonderful jolt to this defense. I mean, a much needed one.
He's a different edge rusher than everybody else. I mean, what I think is really fascinating is we've seen stuff out of Dominique Robinson. Hasn't been like, I get it, earth-shattering, but we've been like, why is he on this team? Why on the team? We've seen enough the last couple of weeks to be like, oh, I see why he's on the team. He's actually doing things. But Austin Booker is so different. I think when he gets unleashed, this defense takes that next step. And I'm looking forward to that. And Sean, I absolutely see them doing more in 3 tight end sets. I don't see it this week because I don't know that Cole is going to be back and playing. I think he's been out so far.
He's DNP the last 2 days.
So I think that would lead him, Cole and Tyreek Stevenson, I would lead that to believe are not going to be able to play.
Right. So I can run through it real quick. I'm not going to bother putting it up. Roquan back, DNP the last 2 days. Braxton, knee, limited, and then DNP. Cole, DNP, both days with the back. Tyreek, shoulder, DNP. Tooney, rest.
day.
Tremaine Edmonds, ankle, was limited. Kyler Gordon, groin, calf, limited. DJ Moore, hip. He was DNP yesterday, limited today. Swift, groin, DNP, limited today. Austin Booker, full the last 2 days. Grady Jarrett, limited, then full. Agbang Bamiga, knee, full. Santos, limited, then full. And Nashawn Wright. And I was actually wondering, how he was going to return, because I said Nashawn is one of those guys, man. You watch him and you're like, oh Jesus, you see what it is, and then he'll go out there and break on the fucking ball, and that's why Al Harris, I think, loves the dude so much, because he sees that and
you see those flashes.
Yeah, and you want to get more out of it, but
and what's interesting again is this is not a receiving core outside of Zay Jones that you're tremendously scared about. Like, and it's still Mark Andrews, who I think is still dealing with the demons of his drop the other day or last year. Like, you're talking about your other guys are DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman, Devontae Walker, who's been injured, and Tylan Wallace. Like, none of those names terrify you. The two names that terrify you on this offense are Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
And everything else is just kind of like, I'll take my chances. I'll take my chances.
Well, I think we've covered it all. We're 90 minutes in. We started a little bit later tonight because that was more of a need on my end. I was on the road with my son at a soccer game. Yeah, doing the dad of the year thing, right? As some people like to say in this house. Bears,
that in a negative way to try to harm you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you know how it goes. Bears versus Ravens. It should be a fun one. I'm excited, man. Like I said,
it's fun to watch these games. That's the part that I think we all have to come to grips with. And it's fun to sit there and be like, who's going to step up? Who's going to win? Like, who's going to do this? I think Caleb's going to have a growth game this week. I think they're going to figure some stuff out. And let's go. Bear down.
Yeah, we were 3-0 winners, Lucas. Yeah, they finished their season 10-2, and now the playoffs are on the horizon. So we'll get into it. I know, got a big day coming up here Saturday for the Southington Wolverines, 7-0 versus 7-0. So that's going to be a big one. And I know
lose that game, they should fire the coach.
Yeah, you just hope that the coaching doesn't blow it for sure. We'll
gets removed from the sidelines for
for you patrons. The live stream will be posted to watch Coach Phil Latoshan Jr. leading the Southington Wolverines to their undefeated bowl and see how that goes. So it should be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend of college football. World Series tomorrow night for all you non-Dodgers and non-Blue Jays fans. See how that goes. Go Dodgers, go Blue.
I need Joe Carter to come back and do it again.
Old Joe. Oh man, I remember that one. That's a blast from the past. But anyways, let's go. What was your 24-21?
24-21.
Yep. There you go. I was 27-21. I picked Baltimore. Prove me wrong, Chicago.
Please.
You've been doing a good job of it so far. So with that being said, thank you for watching Cars Keys Season 4, Episode 59. We're going to get out of here. Cars, you want to give a shout out to a specific amazing daughter accomplishment?
That's a good call out. It's always good when you get an email from the school and you're like, oh crap. And they're like, your daughter was really kind and helpful and we wanted to call her out for all of her good actions. And I was like, Carstensen, but thank you to my girl Aubrey for getting the awards. Love you, kid. Very proud of you for being such a sweet, kind girl.
Something I will never see from my daughter. We know how that goes.
Ryan Cox nailed it.
Yes.
Emerson Marsaw's reward will be like, hey, we're just happy she didn't tell the teacher to fuck off today. So
that is more true than I think any of the people in the chat will ever know. But I still love her. Anyways, let's get out of here. Bears versus Ravens. Let's go for win number 5 in a row. Let's go get it. Talk to you guys soon. Bear down.